Well, thank you. I'd now like to give the floor to the European Commission, Sylvia. I hope I've got your name right.
For her draft report, constructive draft report, which the Commission welcomes very much. Again, from the outset, let me just make a few remarks. The Commission, with its proposal, never made an amalgam, and it keeps being repeated, never made an amalgam between law-abiding citizens that have rights and are authorised to hold firearms, such as sport shooters and hunters, and terrorists. We never did that, we never had the intention to do so, and we never will do that. We are very conscious that there are, as I said, millions of law-abiding citizens that own arms and firearms in a responsible way, and we did not, with our proposal, want to make their lives difficult or miserable. However, as foreseen in the directive, we did a very thorough evaluation of the implementation of the directive, of all its provisions, how they work, and what difficulties stakeholders, including member states, associations, manufacturing industry, saw and encountered with the directive as it stands today. We undertook 3 evaluation and studies looking into the impacts also on particular provisions of the directive, and the whole process took about 1.5 years with, I said, intense consultation and discussion, and wide consultation and discussion with stakeholders, including many of the major European associations of firearms holders, be that sport shooting associations, hunting associations, etc., including also industry, to be sure that we get a feeling back and a view back from industry on the impact of some of the measures proposed. So we did consult, we did listen before we put our proposals forward. One more thing. Did our proposal go in the wrong direction? No. What we proposed was looking or trying to react to weaknesses and loopholes that our evaluation had shown in the directive itself, where we wanted to ensure that from the illicit market of firearms, weapons could divert into the illegal sphere, if you so wish, ultimately offering possibilities for criminals, whatever way, be they terrorists or not, to benefit or profit from such weaknesses and loopholes. And this was the motivation for the Commission to put forward its proposals. And as we heard earlier on, there were cases, unfortunately, very unfortunate cases, where firearms totally put on the illicit market were used also in recent terrorist attacks in Paris, and I'm not going to repeat that. You have heard that earlier on. Just 2 more issues. On the categories, we have said from the beginning that we are very conscious and made that very clear that, yes, resemblance is not a good criteria, and we were very happy to see that there are lots of good proposals, interesting proposals being put forward, and we fully agree with that defining criteria to better describe what we don't want to see as weapons, dangerous weapons in the future on the illicit market anymore, is better described in form of criteria. And as I said, there are lots of very constructive, interesting proposals, and the Commission is very open to that proposals. Again, the motivation is not to make the life of sport shooters and hunters difficult. We fully understand there are semi-automatic weapons used by both professions or sport shooters in many cases, and we need to make sure that their rights and their either the right to exercise their profession or their hobby is not hampered by these proposals, but there are ways of doing it, and we see again that there are very constructive proposals on the table. On collectors, the Commission proposed to include collectors in its proposal in the law, in the directive, which so far have not been included at all, meaning there has been absolutely no rule whatsoever on collectors, which in our view are to an extent nevertheless firearms holders as others, and should be included in the directive.
Abbiamo poco tempo
I beg your pardon. We have a time problem. Now I'm taking comments on amendments. Sorry, we don't have much time, and we're at the stage of commenting on the amendments. So if you could be brief, because we've already discussed the general issues, and indeed we will discuss them again later. But if you could conclude now.
I can conclude now, Chair. It's perfectly fine for me. Thank you very much.
Grazie.